the Kraken continue to add. They're one of the teams that I looked at as, with these temperatures going up, they continue to seem better and better. They seem like the hotter teams. So we've got some player news, but also some broadcast stuff. What do we got going on over there, Belle?
I'm going to go to you for help on that name, though, because I don't want to butcher it.
I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to agree with you on that. Eddie Olczyk is joining the Kraken TV broadcast team, regarded as one of the best in the business, having spent a lot of time with the Chicago Blackhawks. 16 years as a color broadcast, as a color commentator on their TV broadcast. Will also reportedly have some sort of a managerial role with the team. That's not exactly clear, but so it's John Forsland, the JT Brown were the two TV broadcasters this past season. They're not planning to kick one out. They're planning to make it a 3-man group.
Oh, okay.
So which is going to be interesting. But yes, I apologize if I butchered the name. That is on me. We'll correct it going forward. It's not that big of a deal. But yes, so there's that. And then what else do we have?
Moving on here on the 21st, a rumor per CSS sources.
Wow.
Forward Jared McCann will reportedly go back to number 19 this season, switching from last season's number 16.
So last season he couldn't wear the number 19 because teammate until the trade deadline, Calle Jarnkrok had the 19. McCann wore 19 when he was in Pittsburgh, and he also wore it in junior hockey. So I think it's just a comfort thing.
Yeah.
Nothing big deal, but might have found out about it first.
Kind of a big deal if you have a jersey.
I have one.
Do you mind the number change?
No, because as long as I've got the inaugural season patch on, it's technically correct because that's what he wore in the first year. So I don't, I know there was some angst when I posted that people didn't like that, but it's like, hey, it's fine,
On the 22nd, the Kraken have traded Oliver
Bjorkstrand.
Okay, so the B is silent. Okay, from the Columbus Blue Jackets in exchange for a 2023 third-round pick and a fourth-round pick. Bjorkstrand finished the last season with 57 points.
So this is a big deal for Seattle because, he's a 27-year-old forward, but this was viewed as a salary cap dump by the Blue Jackets because it's effectively deemed as a cap casualty. But he just came off a career year, 57 points there. He's a guy that's a great skater, is able to move the puck really well, able to score, obviously, and just be an overall contributor. And Seattle traded a third-round pick and a fourth-round pick in next year's draft, and they still have tons of picks in those rounds because of their stockpiling that they did during the season. Yeah. So, they add another great skater to one of their top lines. So another great offensive contributor, and for effectively little. That's pretty great. So now you're looking at some of your top lines. You've got Andre Burakovsky, Jared McCann, you just mentioned. Jaden Schwartz is going to be back. Brendan Tanev will be back from injury. Bjorkstrand, you add him in there, and that's some of your top lines. Matty Beniers scored 9 points in 10 games last season. Obviously, was a rookie, and he'll get figured out to an extent, but he's got an offseason now at the NHL level. Shane Wright will probably join this team at some point this season. He was a number 4 overall pick, should have gone number 1. So there's some improvement in this Kraken roster, and that's what Ron Francis was saying that he was going to do. They wanted to win games this season. So I was excited for that trade, and a lot of the Columbus fans were not happy that took place. So usually that's a good thing. Yeah. Obviously, fans only know so much, but it's if the fan base really liked him,
it's saying something for sure.
Yeah.
On the 24th, the team extends Morgan Geekie. Geekie and Seattle agreed to a 1-year, $1.4 million extension. And they also signed Michael Kempny. He won the Stanley Cup in 2018 with Washington. He's a good player that has been held back due to injury. Played in 15 games last season and had 2 points. Are you concerned by the injury?
It's definitely a caution thing, right? Because there are definitely guys who, and I don't like to say it, but Kyle Lewis, right? Kyle Lewis has won Rookie of the Year in 2020. Just has got to stay healthy. Kempny is a guy that has been really reviewed as a guy that just, if you can keep him healthy, sure, you get a great defenseman. But I know that's something that, again, you got to keep guys healthy, whether that's the training staff or that's the dietitian, all that, however the organization can help him do that, or it's just bad luck. I think it's leg injuries he's had to deal with, which aren't exactly fun. But I think that's just, it's like caution. It's like, hey, man, we know what you can do on the ice. We just got to keep you. We got to keep you in one piece. So we'll see how that continues to go. But I think it's it's like taking a gamble, right? At the end of the day, it can pay off. It can also not pay off. So we'll see how it goes. But I think it's solid, depending money wise on how it goes.
Right. Any comment on our extension for Morgan Geekie?
I like Morgan Geekie. I thought that, he's a guy that Ron Francis, when he was a general manager of the Hurricanes, that he drafted, and then he drafted in the expansion draft. So he drafted him twice. He must like him, right? Geekie's a guy that I saw him. He showed flashes of offensive potential this past season. He's just putting it together. I know he's not like very young. His brother actually got drafted this past year too.
Wow.
Yeah, some people wanted to reunite him. No, he's not that old. He's 24. He's a 24-year-old. He's still picking it up. And we talked about all those guys that I talked about in the front few lines, right? And then you got a younger guy like Morgan Geekie to one of those, third or fourth lines. I like having those guys. That, and you've got Alex Wenberg still. I mean, there's names I'm forgetting. There's a lot of guys that played well for Seattle last year. Definitely add a guy like Burakovsky, who won it all this past season with Colorado. Bjorkstrand, who just came out for career year. Obviously, it's tough to follow up career years, but I think with what you've got right now, I really like what you're starting to build, and that you should definitely have improved at least a few wins better than last year, because there were a lot of games last year where you were pretty close. And so I think some of these guys, and having played better, Philip Grubauer playing with some of these defensemen and getting more settled in Seattle, you should definitely win some more. I'm not going to guarantee playoffs because I don't want to take that shot and look like an idiot when it doesn't work, but I definitely think there are a few wins better than they were last season. I think there's definitely improvement, and say maybe 24. Let's shoot for 24.
And that was the goal, improvement. So they did what they sought out to do.
Absolutely.
And we can close out on our Kraken here now.